How insane is too insane? And how big is too big? Now I know what you're thinking. Tri-State, why are you hitting me with such profound and existentially upsetting philosophical questions? Well, because about a year or so ago, I purchased this behemoth from Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and the day that the Artisan Cutlery Proponent arrived was the day I knew where that line was drawn for me and my collection. Dirk Pinkerton, the designer of this monstrosity, really pulled no punches when he set to work on this. This thing is massive. From every angle, in every conceivable way, this is huge. It weighs a lot. Nearly 11 ounces. That's 5 ounces shy of a friggin' pound. And that D2 Wharncliffe blade is no shorty. It's coming in at 3.85 inches long. And opened up, the overall length is just a hair under 9 inches. But the length and the weight are just the tip of this shiny brass iceberg. It's stupid tall, opened or closed. Like, no joke, at its tallest point, while closed, it's 2 1/8 inches tall. And opening it up really doesn't help slim it down at all, because when it's open, its tallest point is still exactly the same, 2 1/8 inches. It's a thick boy, no doubt about it. So, if you wear anything outside of military issue cargo pants, I really can't imagine carrying this, even though I carried it twice in my nice work chinos, and well, let's just say it was a mistake. Both times. The pocket clip is this massive skeletonized slab of stainless, and going through my collection, it is without question the biggest pocket clip by a long, long way. And it's held on by these giant bolts. I call them bolts and not screws because, I mean, just look at these things. And your Torx bits, they're not going to help you out here. You'll need to bust out a full-size flathead screwdriver to get this thing apart. You might also want to get a pneumatic impact wrench out, just for good measure. The scales on this SMKW exclusive variant are solid friggin' brass, and they've built up a decent patina over the course of the past year. But this coming from Artisan Cutlery, it is available in a head-spinning array of colors, materials, and options. Literally, you name it, they probably have it. They even have a, I shit you not, they have a $638 Proponent with full-on, full-blown Timascus scales, a Timascus pocket clip, and a Damascus blade. And this one is out of stock. Who bought this? If you are the proud owner of this $640 Proponent, I need to speak with you. Send me a message. I have so many questions. The ridiculousness of this piece doesn't stop at the materials or the overwhelming size. The scales on all variants are milled and machined top to bottom. There's a cutaway that the massive pocket clip nestles into, and by the way, it is reversible. I know. Who would have guessed? There's these milled grooves, scalloped areas on both sides for easy thumb stud access, and more milling, and more grooves, and more. And they didn't stop at the scales. No. The fuller on the blade is just as massive and as insane as everything else on this knife. All of that being said, I really dig the looks though. I bought it because it was insane. And let me tell you, in person and in hand, it is even more insane than any picture or any video could ever do justice. And honestly, I'm all in on the looks. And now you're probably wondering how something this big and this insane could possibly work ergonomically. And I have to tell you, outside of the hot spot caused by the gigantic pocket clip, in hand, this really isn't that bad at all. There's chamfering all around the edges of the scales, and that big gnarly jimping on top of the blade spine is honestly pretty comfy, and it's nice and comfortable, a little grippy spot to rest your thumb. And that sharpening choil is big enough to be used as a finger choil, as long as you're paying attention to your hand placement. And all in all, outside of the overwhelming heft and substantial wrist and joint pain the weight will inevitably cause, in hand it's better than I would have ever thought. And because it is unquestionably massive, you have all the room in the world to hold it in any grip you want, regardless of the size of your hands. Andre the Giant would find this reasonably comfortable in hand. And even me with my tiny baby boy hands. Pretty comfortable, so ergos are solid, for what it is. And of course, that massive Wharncliffe blade, another pleasant surprise. This thing cuts, and it cuts extremely well. The blade stock is comically thick, but the blade is so tall, and that flat grind is so tall, it brings it down to an exceptionally thin cutting edge. And I have to tell you, the satisfaction one gets from breaking down recycling or opening a tiny envelope with something this gnarly and this insane, it's kind of hard to put into words. And it seems they did a solid job on the heat treat with this D2 because I haven't had to do much of anything outside of a strop here and there to maintain this world-eating, end-all be-all Wharncliffe. And yes, as all of you know by now, I am a Wharncliffe whore, without shame and without question. So I'm all about the looks of this blade, and the cutting performance to me is just a nice bonus. And that brings us on to the action, and I don't know how they did it, or what sort of deal with Satan was made, but this thing flips. And it spidey flicks, and it thumb flicks. Really well. It is a liner lock, and to be honest, I wouldn't trust my life to the security, that tiny little piece of metal holding that massive blade in place, hence why they literally include a steel pin to insert into the little hole to lock it open or closed. But as far as fidgety goodness goes, I have absolutely no complaints. The detent could be heavier, but I really don't know if it would make a huge difference considering the amount of weight we're dealing with. And this running on ceramic bearings, it's scary drop shut. Like, I'm terrified of it. And it's honestly scary smooth, too. I really didn't expect the action to be anywhere close to this good, but at the end of the day, if the action was garbage on something this insane, I really don't think the design would have stayed in the Artisan portfolio this long. It really is impressive as far as the action goes. It makes me laugh every time I play with it. And honestly, there we have it, the Artisan Cutlery Proponent. There's not a lot to say about it other than it's insane. When these Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusives were in stock, they were priced at $60. And the G10 models, which are available pretty much everywhere, are priced at $69. So I'm not sure, kind of shady backroom deals Smoky Mountain Knife Works are doing, but how they pulled off having their exclusives, run a little cheaper than the base models, I don't know how they did it. But I'm not complaining. There are also titanium frame lock variants with S35 VM blades that'll run you about $213. And if it wasn't for the price, I honestly would have picked one up by now. I would have picked one up ages ago, simply because I'm curious as to how the detent feels. And if that thicker lock bar stiffens the detent up enough, for this thing to really flip well. But at the end of the day, for $60 to $70, I think you would be hard-pressed to find this much knife for the price. So if the insanity and the novelty does anything for you, I say go for it. Even if you just use it as a centerpiece for your dining room table, simply as a conversation starter on your coffee table, why not? It works as a knife, and it just so happens to have its own gravitational pull. So until next time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye now.